Hi folks, welcome back. Today, I think we're going to start working on getting this thing, the chassis outside, a little more mobile because it's getting down to the last few weeks before we go back racing in mid-June. I still have a little bit of time, but I do want to make sure that that thing is not on caster wheels that go flat every 5 minutes. And I think it's time we start maybe piecing it together. So I'm starting to make a little pile of stuff here. I got a little bit of plug wires and beer can and water pump, and I got an engine here, I think. Yep, there's my engine. There's a rear end sitting back there. You can see the tube of it, well, most of it. I got a transmission over on the other side of the garage. I got a bell housing here. I've got other parts like motor mounts, and I got a drive shaft coming because I forgot it at the other shop. And I got some old tires. That one's not good, it's missing a piece. But I could always slap those tires onto this chassis when I put a rear end in it. Putting together a race car is a bit of a process, especially when you're dealing with one that's based solely off of a stock chassis car, kind of like what I run. You gotta source parts, and you have to have specific parts. Like a lot of the stuff is in the rules that it has to be a certain way, and other sorts of things like that. So you gotta source like stock trailing arms and suspension components and rear ends and drive shafts and whatever else you can find. But like if I had a more higher tier car, like a late model modified, pro stock, super late model, whatever, you could just open up a magazine and just buy parts out of it and just start piecing the thing together easy. But with one of these, again, it's kind of hard. You have to have the right parts and not have stuff flying around your head because it's hot in the Northeast and they just go everywhere. So I have to go around and just start bolting parts on. Like putting the rear end in, I've got trailing arms already in it. I got a stock rear end sitting over there in the corner I already showed you. So basically putting that in is nothing more than sliding it under the rear, jacking it up and bolting it in, and then putting tires on it. Oh yeah, you got to put springs under it too, which behind this cheap little torch setup, I got about 1 million springs to choose from. You could just slap anything under there to get it under and rolling. And a car or a chassis or whatever, sitting on wheels and a rear end is far easier to move than on them little caster wheels. Like that thing just absolutely kills you to move around. So the way that we would mock up one of these cars to get the tin work put in and to get the thing rolling is we have to get all the components put in it first before we even think about putting the sheet metal and the tin in it, so that we know what our limits are and our extents are, so that we can put that in and not only get the driving position right, but also figure out where the transmission sits, where the drive shaft sits, where the engine sits to make a firewall and all sorts of fun stuff. So first step is getting this stuff put in, and I think we're going to start on that. Okay, so that was not fun, but I got the rear end out, and I figured out it doesn't have any studs in it. So, great. Now I got to go around and look to see if I have 10 studs that will fit this rear end, because it's hard to bolt a wheel onto something that doesn't have studs in it. Great. This thing's so covered in spider webs and nonsense. I need a concrete pad out here, I swear. Oh, I got another bungee cord here. That'll be fun to get off. Okay. I think I need to jack or something to try to get this thing up into the right spot. But man, this is tough going because you got all this stuff hanging in the way and just a real pain, you know? Just a real pain. Maybe I should time lapse this thing. Okay, so that was a bit of a faff. But we got the axle bolted into, I don't know, some crappy old stock trailer arms. I threw some springs in it. I got to put something in there to limit the rear end from coming down because the springs will bounce out of it. But you see it moves. So now it's on rear wheels. So now I got to jack her up, get the old cutting wheel out, and cut these casters off, because then I can put wheels on the axles. There's one sitting over there. Why don't we do that? I'm pretty sure it's welded on the other side. Where did I put it? Yep, this is gonna stink. Don't try this at home. Where's my hammer? Well, that was easy. Get out. Now I gotta do the other side. Jeez. I can't see a thing. And I can't wait to get water and bugs and all sorts of fun stuff all over me. And where are you at? All up my foot. Awesome. Oh, jeez. I'll put that there. Alright, where are you welded at? Poop. And I unplugged it. Allergies. Killing me. So if you got a cutting wheel like this, I don't know why guys take the guard off. You're just making 360 degrees of danger instead of just 180. There we go. So she's sitting on all two. I was going to say all four, but it's not all four, obviously. I sourced a couple bolts that obviously were not quite the right size, almost, but they look pretty good. These upper control arms aren't great anyway. There's some oil in the jack bolts so they wouldn't rust up, and they'd soak in and stay nice. Even if you're under a tarp, it's not really going to be great. I still got to go through the rest of the chassis. Obviously, they got to put some bars in it or something, and go through. I've got to put a fuel cell safety bar in, an X bar in the floor, and then I got to source the front suspension. Once I can source the front suspension, then I can put a steering shaft in it. And then we can actually get this thing to move without having to put it on caster wheels, which would be perfect. But again, everything is sourcing parts and putting it together. Now, obviously, I've meant for this thing to be a budget build from here on out. And so far, I don't think I've spent a cent for this new chassis. Well, since I started the videos. To be honest with you, I don't think I've got any budget to finish this thing. But obviously parts like this that I've collected over the years have cost some sort of money over the years. But since I drug it out of the woods, it hasn't cost me a cent yet. Obviously, that's a complete lie in the terms of budget, but I think we're going pretty well. You know, if you get a suspension in it and you get it rolling around, then you can move it easier. Once you can move it easier, then you can start working on it. And when you can work on it, then you got things going your way. So the next thing is, again, like I said, we got to get the front suspension in it. Even if we don't get a steering shaft or steering wheel in it, we can still push the front wheels around by hand and get it to move. And I can put it in the garage and take all this scrap metal that I got hiding back here and start putting tin work in for the floors, because I'd have to put the engine in, and I'd have to get the transmission mounted, and I have to have a drive shaft in and get all those lengths and angles all set up. And then I can start hashing out where the driver's compartment is and where everything's going to go. So obviously we still have a lot of work to do. There's no question. But when building a car, it's always the little things that take the longest time, and this is the little things. So tin work I've done before. Let me show you. I did the tin work on my regular car. I did all this firewall space here. I did all the tin work in the back here. I did the floors. I want to put like a heavy plate under the seat in this car so that it's going to add a little bit of protection and a little bit of spot to mount the seat and other stuff like that. But yeah, it's completely within the realm of possibility. I mean, you can see all the crappy bead rolling that I did, and this was just kind of a quickie job back in 2015 to get it done. Again, it's tedious, but it's worth it to do it yourself because you're going to save a lot of money. So I think I'm going to end off there because I have to go through all the parts and find some and source a bunch of suspension parts and some other engine parts and stuff. And I got to. The next video, I'll probably put the engine together and the transmission on, and just to mock it up, and you know, probably bolt some front suspension onto it somehow with something. I don't know yet. I don't want to really use the spares for this car because I don't want to like leave this thing hanging in case I get into a wreck or something and have no spare parts at the track that I could try to fix it with and then get back out on track with. Whole long story short, I just don't want to tap into this car's resources in order to get that car completely finished. So again, I'll end off here. And thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Share it with your friends. Subscribe if you can. As YouTubers would say, click the bell for notifications when I drop a new video. Whatever, who cares? You'll catch it if you subscribe to me anyway, if you're looking for it. But anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.